Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. I have a very special guest today, Lena Kay. Hi, Lena.
Hello, hi. Great to be here, Michael.
Yeah, but you know what? When I sent you that email about coming on my show, I didn't even expect a response. I got to say, so it was nice that you did, and he was like, "Okay, I'll do it." I was like, "Really?" So that was nice, and I think one of the biggest things I like about you is that you're humble, you're down to earth. So you've had all the success, as a business coach, transformation coach, TED Talk speaker. Just for those who don't know Lena, I just thought I'd give a bit of insight into that. But you still, for me, you still keep it real and you still keep it authentic, and for me that stands out because when I've had contact with very successful people or whatever, I feel like it's almost like they're in their own world. They have this other reality and it's kind of separate, miles away from yours, and they're not in touch. So it's nice the way you are. When I see you in these interviews with maybe not successful podcasts or people starting their way, and you keep it very humble and real, and I think that stands out for me. I think that's what makes the difference, and maybe that's why it's been a huge part to your success as well. That you keep it real and you're authentic. I mean that goes a long way where people feel they can connect with you, and there's realism in what you're saying, and that's how people can buy into your message more and your story because you're a real person. Anyway, from my perspective, anyway, I'm just letting you know.
That's really cool. Yeah. Well, look, at the end of it, we're all just human. It doesn't matter how much, like what someone's been through, who they are, their age, how much money they make, what they do for a living, like, doesn't really, we're all humans and we have certain things that we all, uh, can I swear on this
Yes, you can.
podcast or,
Go ahead.
oh, okay. I was going to say, as humans, doesn't matter if it's the Queen of England or, a homeless person in like, in New York City, is like we all eat, sleep, and shit, just like all other animals. We all have that in common. No one is too good to do any of those things. We're all human. So for me, that humanity just like it just grounds me in reality. No one is too big to die. We all have that journey. So that helps me to stay grounded and just knowing like where I've come from and just helps me keep a
Mhm.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah, and for me, that's as I say, that's what stood out because it seems like you've managed to stay grounded even with that success. You've not got carried away with it. You're still you.
Yeah, and I think that word success also is very like subjective. So it's like what success is to one person is totally different to another. So for me, it's not the achievements, the TED talks, and the millions
Mm.
of views and move it. Having my own. None of that is the greatest achievement as the person who I become. Like my character in the process, because especially in my line of work, I meet loads of people. They've got the money, they've got the house, and they've got the from the outside what you would think is success, but actually they're not happy, they're not fulfilled. Therefore, that's not success. They might be successful in some things, but for me, success is holistic. If you're not at peace with yourself, if you're not at peace with the decisions you make, if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, you're not successful. So that's like the very core, the foundation of our life. Like it's our our awareness and who we are, and that's the center of everything of our universe is us, right? So it impacts everything, everyone in our lives, whatever we do. So for me, it's like, yeah, I don't, because for me success is the person who I am, not what I achieve externally. It keeps me each day like, who am I? Like who, like how, who am I today? And it helps me to really be very present with the person who I really am, and just still even years after, even after doing this, still peeling away layers of conditioning with awareness, still peeling away who was I yesterday, well, who am I today, like what am I struggling with, what is the challenge, can I be aware of that, is there something I could do about that, or is it just the awareness is enough? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's these things that for me success is not, oh, you've got this and you're successful. It's like, no, who are you, how do you feel about yourself? That's when you're at peace with everything and there's no conflict. Like that's, to me, that's success, is the person you become, your character, you know.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
I've met CEOs and all that, and you know, some have been arseholes, some have been quite nice, and some have been very unhappy, and they have all the money in the world. So it is all
Mm.
about the internal and dealing with you as a person, than
Yeah.
the external and all the materialistic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Could you talk about your journey? Because I'm curious about you as a kind of growing up and your mind, because this mindset you have, it's, you know, another thing that I really like about you, your mindset and your approach to life, and how focused you are, definitely comes out in, you know, when I've heard you with your on your YouTube channel or on IG lives or wherever I've heard of you. I've always been really impressed about kind of your mindset. So talk about that, like your childhood and how you were as a child and growing up.
Yeah, so I think, knowing where I come from helps to ground me in reality and helps me keep a very clear kind of like perspective, because I was born in Kurdistan, North Iraq. And when I was born, there was a lot of war. There was a war
Mm,
between Iraq and Iran that happened for 8 years. There was a war where Saddam was trying to ethnically cleanse Kurds, like Kurdish people from the north. So there was that. So there was two wars going on. There was a lot of stuff going on, and so my parents did decide to flee. And from a young age, I up to the age of 6, I end up being, from between 3 to 6, I was with my family in refugee camps in Iran and Syria. And so, being raised in refugee camps, I'm too young to remember it, but
mm,
like I talked to my mom about that. She still remembers thousands of people in one refugee camp, and there were only 3 bathrooms amongst thousands of families. You had to get your soap, your children, and wait in line for ages until you got to your turn in the queue, and you go in and you quickly shower yourself, your children, and then you, like, these things like that everyone's given, okay, this much of rice, this many potatoes, a couple of eggs per person per week. And only once a week one person is allowed to leave from your family to go into the city to,
yeah,
if they have money to buy something and come back. And so all these little things, like being brought up in the refugee camp and then being raised in London, so going to London as a
yeah,
refugee. And I'm old enough to know that my survival thing was to, I needed to understand very quickly what the hell people were talking about. So
mm,
it was like, I remember the learning the language. I remember just the mimicking what people were saying to try and learn, like trying to communicate, like, I need this, I'm drawing something at school, this, what does and they would tell me scissors, and I remember, okay, scissors, and then going home and teaching that to my parents. Yeah, so it was very opposite. Like, my parents knew a little bit of English to like get by, but not like I was learning in school the English. So I would go home, and I'm the one who taught my parents how to swear, because I wanted them to be armed with something if someone was being racist to
really,
them, or someone, and at that time where we were living, we were like, in my schools as well, like I would be, until I went to high school, I would be one of the only like 4 ethnic people. There might be one black
mm,
person, one Indian person, me, and maybe one Filipino or something like that, like in the whole school. So it was like, yes, it was like different places that I was raised in. But then when I went to, we moved home and things like that. And when I was a teenager, my high school was very, very, very mixed. That's where I was, brought up around black people. There was a couple of mixed race, a couple of maybe Chinese, Indian. So I learned a lot of different cultures. Yeah, a lot
mm,
of different backgrounds. And so being raised in this like different, it was a cultural clash, like being, especially as a girl, being raised in the West in London, but also being still conditioned and having to go by rules in a house from the Middle East. This is
mm.
something that is this culture clash that is very intense, because everything that is right, that is good, that is popular in the West is not in the Middle East. So it's like this complete, like kind of like polar opposites of culture. So I struggled a lot, when I was
Yeah,
younger. And as soon as I hit, say again.
I was going to say that. How difficult was that dealing with that?
I didn't deal with it well. That's why suicide was a good option for me and a good
Wow.
thing for me from 14. I was like, this is like, you know, if I talk to a boy, it's like, why are you talking to that boy? How do you know that boy? So it was like, okay, I just like, I was 14 was my first time trying to commit suicide. I just took a bit, and you can't get these anymore in the shops, but back in the day, you could get big boxes of pills. So I just took a pill from the fridge from my mom's, and I just took them all that night. And then, you know, like Middle Eastern families, like, it's so funny because at 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, I was vomiting, and I remember being disappointed that it didn't work, clearly, because I'm up and I'm vomiting. My mom took me to the doctor the next day, and I couldn't tell the doctor what had happened because my mom's sitting right there. And I was 14, you know, she came in with me. So I was thinking, if she knows, she's gonna kill me. Like she will beat me, she will kill. Yeah. Oh, really? This is what you do? So and then I remember just being off school for a couple of weeks because the doctor thought I had a virus, and he was like fasted, put me on a fast and put me on this like liquid medicine thing
Yeah.
for 2. And I couldn't tell my mom. I didn't tell her till like a few years ago what actually happened. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, that's what happened. So, and again, our parents, they didn't have the tools parents have now, like the internet. I wasn't raised with that, you know? So it was like, there was no phones. It would be like telling your friends, I'm going to meet you 7:30 outside the supermarket in that area. Okay. And then we would just meet at 7:30. There would be no thing if, yeah, you know, if someone was late, they're late, or maybe their mum didn't let them come, like you would wait a little bit, but you know, there was no way to communicate. There was just house phones, and if you use the house phone, the internet didn't work. So it was, you know, it was being raised in that environment, going, you know, a lot of culture clash within, like school, college. I hated my teenage years. They were horrible, like for me internally, you know, they were really a struggle. um and then going into college and things as well, that's when I started smoking. I started, you know, using that as an escape to handle stress. So I started to smoke, and um, I dropped out of uni, went to uni, dropped out of uni for work. Because one thing that I knew from a young age is I need to get financially independent, especially being a Middle Eastern girl. My freedom comes with finance. Freedom, if my freedom, my choices come with money. I need to make money. So here, there's the social security number people get when they, you know, start working. In the UK, obviously, is a national insurance number. I got that before my 16th, I think a few weeks before my 16th birthday. I was out door to door down my local high street looking for jobs, and I got one, you know. So from a young age, I just knew I want to work, I want to make money because I want freedom. I don't want to ask somebody, Dad, can I have some money? Mom, I need that freedom. I don't want to justify where my money goes. I want to own it. Yeah.
That independence.
Yeah. I knew that from a young age. And so it's like, you know, that's why I even made the silly decision of dropping out of uni in my second year, because the company I was working for, the gambling company, they noticed their businesses would do very well when I was working in them in the summer, and when I would come out and go to uni and come down, they could feel the impact. So they just offered me some money to leave uni and to work for them full time, which I done, you know. So I was like in my young 20s, like early 20s, or very young, managing 10 gambling establishments around London.
Wow.
You know, yeah, like, you know, the arcade, like the slot machines. So it was like, and that's where you would see people blowing 4 grand, 10 grand into a machine where the jackpot is 500. Like, it doesn't even logically make any sense. But this is the nature of addiction, right? So this is what I had to learn, how to be humble enough that at 22, my staff, some of them might be as old as my mother or my grandmother, but I have to respect them and be firm and be a manager, but also have respect for them, because I can't be in 10 shops at the same time, but they need to run when I'm not there. They need to run well. So it was learning about humans, communication and stuff, like how I get people to respond to me, and that right balance of, you know, strict, bold, but connection, understanding, like bringing all of that. And then I was in that company for like 4 years before I went to business banking and stuff. And again, I didn't know what I didn't know. This is when different addictions came into play, toxic relationships come into play, because I didn't know about the inner connection,
Yeah.
the inner work. I had no concept of this at all. So yeah, it was by my mid-20s, when I was at, well, the peak, like, of my, corporate kind of career. It was just peaking. It was just kind of going to that peak. Team leader, in a legitimate business banking like RBS, NatWest Business Banking. That's when I, addiction, brain tumor,
Really?
depression, anxiety. Yeah, it was just, my life was a mess. That's when I had the breakdown in my mid-20s. And yeah, I ended up going from corporate leadership to living in the YMCA and being on, the benefits, and going just like kind of, nose diving.
So
And
what brought that on? Was that a lot of the unresolved trauma, maybe from your childhood and teenage years, and not dealing with that, and it kind of just took its toll on you?
I think, I didn't know what I know now, but it was a combination of, like, not, I didn't know myself. I was lost. I was a lost soul. And so then I would attract toxic
Mm.
relationships. I would do toxic things. I would resort to drugs, alcohol, um, to as a way to handle my reality when I didn't know how to go with it. I didn't know that. So it was like, okay, not, I was a victim. I felt like a victim for everything. Why am I attracting these kind of people? Why is my family treating me like this? Why is this? Why, like, why have I got a brain tumor? Why am I on these? Why am I depressed and blah blah blah? And it's like, I was wise enough to keep pursuing, like, help. Like, I wanted, I tried all the psychologists, psychiatrists, and therapists and counselors and all of that stuff. But truly, it wasn't until it was my mid-20s that I found this video on, like, from Abraham Hicks on law of attraction, that kind of brings reality, your responsibility for your life, right into your hands, and says, actually, you're the creator of your life. And that was very new concept for me then. Like, it was very, very new. Like, what do you mean I created my life? I created the abuse and the addiction and the brain tumor. But actually, when I dive more into it, and I dive more into healing, I dive more into the science, I dive more into
Mm.
things, it was like, actually, like, this seems to have a lot of ground in other things. Like, there's a lot of credible people that apply this kind of knowledge to their life, and let me try it. And the difference with me and people, like, I always tell people, stop consuming, start creating. If you learn something, this is where the personal development industry, it can be people can really trick themselves. Their mind can play them, because they end up on this journey of consuming lots of personal development. They don't apply anything. That's not what personal development is for. It's for you to learn and apply, learn and apply. So that's the thing. The only thing that makes me different from somebody that does that stuff and doesn't get results is they don't apply. They don't trust a process. Everything works for someone, yeah. But it's like, for example, I can't hire a fitness trainer and expect them to do the push-ups, sit-ups for me, go running for me for a mile or 5 miles. I have to do that work, and it's the same thing. So it's like, you know, different tools work for different people. Some people, in terms of fitness, some people like running, some people do weight, some people prefer swimming or dancing, or, it doesn't matter, but pick something.
No, I hear you.
Trust it, trust the process, go with it, and check out what the results are. So that's why very quickly I saw my life change, because I would actually learn and apply. Like, I was hungry for change because I was so much in pain. I was depressed. I just was wishing for death. Like, I just wanted life. I'd got over the phase of trying to kill myself. I just wanted to die. I just wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
like, why am I here? I had no purpose. I was lost. And that shifted overnight with my awareness, because what I learn, and this is the difference with people, sometimes people are like, oh, intellectually I get it. That means it's not your perception. The information is not integrated in your actual perception. For me, it's different. Yeah, when I was going through my healing and I read that, oh, MSG can block your neural pathways and it's bad for the X, Y, and Z, automatically that information integrate within me. There's no discipline required. There's no forcing. It's I pick up the labels in a supermarket. Does it have this chemical in it? If it does, I put it back. It's not, does that make sense? Because the integration of the information, like I'm not, you know, reading it, oh, I know, but I still buy this stuff. No, like, how's that going to bring healing? So, this is the difference is when people can integrate what they learn into the actual perception. My mind shifted. Life turned from hell to heaven overnight because all of a sudden I learned about appreciation. I
Mm,
learned about being present. I didn't know this stuff before, you know. This is internet was so new. This was YouTube was new when I found this video. It was everything was new. Facebook was new. Instagram was not popping like that. Like everything was so new when these companies just came out. Like I don't know how many years ago, nearly 20 years ago or
yeah.
something now,
Mm.
17 years ago. Yeah, it was a different time, and that's my kind of journey into living consciously was after I was 25.
Wow, that's some journey. I'll tell you that. And the learnings from it as well. And as you said, once that light bulb went off and you started to realize, you know what, this is what I need to be doing to really start, self-value, self-love, self-care, the inner workings, finding that purpose, finding your north, um, that leads us to where you are now. And you know what, in your head, did you have that feeling when you were younger? I know you went through your dark times and stuff like that. Did you always feel you would eventually find your way out and find something for you?
No, but I was always seeking the truth. Like I was always questioning, even things like I used to get in trouble for questioning religion because obviously I'm raised in a Muslim family. You're not supposed to question that. You're not supposed to question that. You know, I had questions and no one could answer the questions. So just stop asking questions. This is how it is. This is what it says, and this is what. And it's like but that doesn't make, even as a child, that doesn't make sense. Why can boys do this, girls
Yeah.
can't do that? Why does it say this? Why? But why, mommy? Why would God do that? But why? And then that no one has the answers why. Because even as a young 8-year old, I knew that this doesn't make sense. If you talk about love, a loving, creative something, a creator, then, but you're telling me this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's like, it doesn't match up with the branding, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't,
I was the
so
same. I used to drive my mom, around the bend by just coming, always questioning everything when I was a child. She'd be like, "No,
that's
that's
really
just the
good.
way it is." A
Uh-huh.
Christian household, a West Indian upbringing, so it's very like religious and strict in regards to that. And and I used to always question everything because
Mm-hmm.
reading the Bible and things. I used to say, "But why? Why is this?" And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of it, that's why I'd say I'm spiritual now. I'm a lot more spiritual, and I challenged things and looked at the world and kind of things that didn't quite make sense. And like you said, it doesn't add up. It does, even to an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old. That's when I was asking these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Going to when I used to have to go to Sunday school and all this, and I was just like, this there's something not right here. And I think it's us searching for that, isn't it? Our purpose, or our path, maybe, or our place in the world, maybe. And what it's our curiosity that maybe helps us find our way, because we're searching and trying something else, speaking as you, as the older you got, when you had these different jobs and things like that, and then you've got to this place now where you are. You eventually got to you found your path, and you're where you feel you belong, type thing. You,
Yeah, and I'm still always evolving, so I'm not
mm,
attached to an idea of me, a story of me. Everything, I'm ready any moment. If I need to let something go, whatever that is, I will let go of it if it's right for me to move, for me to evolve, if that makes any sense. Like, so it's also like what you were talking about as a kid, is because we're so pure, when we're
mm,
children, we're pure. So we know when something is toxic, when something doesn't make sense, we're not conditioned, and then we get conditioned out of it. So then it's like, you know, everything. And I think this is also when you become, when you have that wisdom and you start to really cultivate your own self, and you're on a journey of truth. All I ever wanted was truth and freedom, and I had to carve that out myself. I had to go down many different roads, like this, zigzag up and down. And the more I learn, it's like I know the less I know. Like we don't know. So everyone that says, "Oh, I know this is like this," no, we don't. Even science is like, okay, with the limited perspective we have in science, this is what is, the theory that is proven so far to be true based on our very limited perspective and technology and equipment and things like that. So it's like, we're just on this planet, on this ball of land and mass and water, just orbiting in space, orbiting this fireball, and there's some other planets, and there might be life on other planets. We don't know if there is, if there,
No.
we just don't know. Like, so it's like, so many people, like, they like these things because they like someone to tell them this is the purpose, this is what you do, this is what happens when you die, this is, that gives them comfort, but it doesn't mean it's true.
No.
The truth is we actually don't know. Everyone has their little branding, their monopoly on what's the truth. No, the truth is we do not know any of that. That is, you know what I mean? That's like hearsay or books or whatever. We just know nature is true because nature is from, okay, nature. Apart from nature, everything else is made up on the planet.
100%.
And that's just the truth. Like, that's a fact. We can all agree on that. So it's like, it's okay to be in the unknown. Like, that's where creativity is, where you create. People want to be in the known, they want to know everything. It's like, why?
Because uncertainty is scary. It's not.
It's scary for those, yeah, it's scary for those who are not solid within themselves. When you become solid within yourself, you're okay in the unknown and uncertainty, and actually everything is uncertain. Like, I think this whole pandemic has opened up some people's eyes. Things they thought was the security, the job, the what, certain things, actually reality wasn't so real. Actually, everything that you thought was real, there was almost like the veil of illusion was lifted, and those brave enough to look were like, hold on, I thought this stuff was real. No, no. Oh, we're just going to print money and give it to people because right now the economy's a bit thing. Oh, okay. Like, people were like, huh? Like, so it's interesting. And I heard someone say, like, I know recently, I'm not really up to speed so much with like pop culture, what's happening. But I know somebody told me that the Ronaldo was doing a press conference where he just removed all the
Yeah, yeah, that was
Coca-Cola, and he's like, no, water, like that's, and
that's
that,
funny. That. Yeah, but that's just typical Ronaldo, isn't it? It's like this.
I don't know what he's like. I don't know. So
That's his personality. He's just
okay.
like so sure of himself, and that the sponsors are like, "What's he doing?" And he's just there moving coke, and he's like, "No, water's not for me." It's like, what? We placed them because it's a
Yeah,
reason.
strategically, yeah, because they paid to have those bottles there. Now you just move them.
But they can't say anything to him because he's that big, he's that important to any tournament or just world football in general, that they couldn't even say anything to him that he moved it. Then other players have started doing it, and now they've come out and said, you know what, we're going to start, fining players for doing that because they've been put there for a reason. It's not just for the sake of it. So yeah, he makes me laugh because just the way he approaches everything, football, his businesses. He's just this focused. I'm gonna do what I want. I don't care what anyone says. This is me. Take me for what I am. And I don't want these bottles here. I got my water, so why are they there? It's like, and that's why I respect him. He's another one of these, personalities that I look up to because of his story as well, and how he rose to fame and his success. So he's another one of those. Talking about your setting up your businesses, because then you started that light. Well, you started to really discover yourself and do the inner workings and setting up your own business. Talk about that and becoming a business coach, a transformation coach. How did you get into that? What drew you to this?
Yeah, so Yeah, I didn't really know about this world. I
Mm,
think if I did, I probably wouldn't have gone into it because there's a
really?
lot of, yeah, because even very early on in my work, I was like, I don't like this industry because a lot of people talk the talk, they don't really walk the walk. And
Mm,
I remember one of my friends said to me, he said to me, oh, don't hate the player, change the game. And I said, I like that. Like, so he was like, you change, do it your way. I said, yeah, okay, I think I will. But I kind of fell into this by accident because once I transformed my life, it was such a drastic change from my personality from one day to another. It was such a drastic change. My TV just went off because I saw something. It was like this lady was like, "Listen, just turn off the TV because you keep what you're tuning into. You're tuning into your energy, your mind, everything. So just turn that off for 30 days. Just try." I thought, okay, I'll turn it off for 30 days, and this is the difference. I hear it, I do it. I see it, I try it. Yeah, it's like a recipe. Let me try it. Let me see if
mhm.
I like the outcome, the flavor. I did. I noticed things very quickly. And this is, I was in very deep depressions. There were little tiny things I would do that would improve my quality of thinking, my quality of life, just waking up. It was a struggle, like, and this is the thing with when you're depressed, that it was a struggle sometimes just to have a shower a day. That was my only goal. Okay, I'm going to have a shower today. I'm going to have a morning routine. I'm going to do my exercise and make my bed, and I'm going to do these things before I deal with the world. I'm going to do a bit of reading, a bit of exercise, eat something nutritious, and these little things, like, not a lot of people have the basics down. I call it mastering the basics. It's
Yeah.
having solid foundations, and just building these basic foundations help me to think clearer, help me to become a better human being, mentally, emotionally, energetically, so it was like people saw that, and I'll be the go-to person, like, hey, my cousin's depressed, can you talk to her? Hey, my cousin's or my neighbor's suicidal, do you think you could
Mhm.
go and see them? So it was like I was just kind of, poured, kind of dropped into this, and then I started to take an interest. So I took an interest, so I did do loads of different courses and things like
Mm,
that. But I would also, I completed some courses, but I dropped out of others, even though some of them I invested thousands of dollars into
really?
them. I sold everything that I had. I literally would just hustle on eBay, sell everything, sell jewelry,
Yeah.
sell everything that I had to do these courses. And then sometimes I'll be on a course, I'll be thinking like, this company's full of BS. Like, that, I don't want to be associated with this company, and I don't, what they're saying don't do as a coach, I will do because that's what I think is best for
I hear
people.
you.
And so does that make sense? So
Yeah.
some of the companies I just dropped out of them because I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty whack. Like, I don't want to associate myself with this.
Yeah.
Having that awareness again, going from the person who was sold the course and enrolled in it to then I've grown, and I'm looking at everyone, I'm like, these people, none of us should be coaching because we're all lost. Like, I'm here, I was still smoking at the time, so I'd be like,
Yeah.
we're there trainee coaches and we're there having a cigarette break. What's good, like, I what? And then they would be like, you don't have to be perfect to be a coach, you do these things. And it's, of course, no one's perfect, but these fundamental things, like, do you know what I mean? If someone can't help themselves, how much can they really help you? And it was that
100%.
I was like, I don't really want to associate with these companies. So it was learning a lot, but it's been mainly through experience, like applying some things, some tools. But it's been, what I come back to is just some fundamentals, they just are. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether I talk to a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, someone in a corporate, role, whatever country somebody is in, because we're human, kind of like back to what we were talking about in the beginning,
Yeah.
because we're all human, we all need to drink a certain amount of water, we all need certain kind of nutrition, we all need to move our bodies if we're lucky enough to be able to move our body, we all need sleep, we all need, do you know what I mean? So there's these basic things that are so simple, but most people have not mastered these things. So it's like when you put them in to anybody's life, and they just master the basics, they create solid foundations. So that going back to your question, how I got into this, it was kind of like that by accident, and then just learning more and developing more, and it's just learning and trusting the next move. So it's just trusting myself. Can I put 100% into the next move I make? I don't need to see 10 steps of the way. I don't need to see every single how to for me to get to where I want. I just need to make the next move.
Mm.
And when I'm in
Yeah.
there, the move after that is going to reveal itself. And when I'm in there, so a lot of people, they don't take action because they don't see
Right.
all the steps. I
Yes.
don't need to see the steps. And this comes with being okay with uncertainty, being okay in the unknown. I don't need to know. I trust myself. Whatever happens, I trust myself. I'm going to figure it out. Doesn't matter. So I'm not actually even attached to the outcome. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? I
No.
just do the best I can. I look at the outcome and I can make my next move from there. So it's kind of really like it's when you build yourself, you can trust yourself no matter what happens. It's like you don't have to be knocked down by the storm. You can stand right in the middle of it. Actually, you can be the quiet eye of the storm, and you can be centered, quiet, calm when there is adversity all around you. So yeah.
Talk to me about the TED Talks and getting involved with that. How did that come about?
Yeah, oh my goodness. So yeah, the TED Talks, I don't know, it's just like a little downloaded idea that came to me like 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning or something. I can't remember. It was very late night. And and again, I remember because I had sold my bed on eBay to make money for something. I don't know, because I was hustling. And so I was at that time, I had been made redundant from the last job, and I had some clients, coaching clients, not enough to pay all my bills and rent and everything. So I was doing the both. I was coaching, but I was also selling things online on eBay and buying and selling things, whatever. I just remember just sitting down on my laptop, Googling, seeing if there's any TED Talks. And I found there was one coming up in the city that I was born in Kurdistan, Iraq. I thought, oh, amazing. This is amazing work. I can't believe they're doing it. This is phenomenal. Let me just connect with the organizers, because this was like probably January, February, and the event was coming up in April. So for me, it was already too late to apply, but at least let me connect. And this is amazing what they're doing. So we connected, and I think they saw because I was still doing videos and stuff like that. So they saw lots of my videos just flowing through the timelines and stuff. And then I was asked to participate in there. And I think they asked because there was some like people in common that we had. And so they asked also, about me. So then they asked me to do that talk, and it was amazing, but it was like such a short amount of time. Anyone that's read that, there's a book called Talk Like TED, and I'd read it like a couple of years before that, but it's say again.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah, you've heard of that book, right? And it's that most of the talks on there, people have carved out over 6 months. I had less than I think 2 months or something to do mine. So it was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. But and it was a first talk, I had to script it, and I had to send them the script. So I didn't have long to do it, but I just became obsessed with the process. I wanted to
Mm.
perfect it, and I wanted to impact the audience. I wanted them to have the experience, not about me on stage and ego, not about me, it's about the people listening. I wanted to really impact them. Challenge that I had was I knew my audience is going to be non-native English speakers. English might be their
Wow.
first or second or third language. Also, there's going to be 1,000 live audience, TV crew. There's going to broadcast this internationally, but also there's going to be an audience on YouTube that are a lot of them native English speakers. So I had to make sure my pacing of my English wasn't too fast, not too slow. Yeah, I had to make sure there's not too much jargon and things. It just had to be simple and powerful and impactful. Also, I had the challenge of if I was to tell my story as a woman, as a female, and tell the
Yeah.
story of a little girl that kind of was lost and she went into addiction and toxic relationships and blah, there would not have been the kind of sympathy. There would have been judgment because of the conditioning. Well, she's a girl, she shouldn't be doing that anyway, sort of thing. I knew these like unconscious biases would just play out in the audience
Mm.
that I'm in front of. So spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the TED Talk, which is called 3 Steps to Transform Your Life. But this is why I went in with my story and portrayed myself in the story in the beginning as a boy. because I knew
Oh,
the story. If it's a little boy, they're going to have a lot of, sympathy, empathy, connection. And I'm going to bypass with the story of the boy, I'm going to bypass their prejudice. I'm going to land in their heart. So by the time I say, da da, actually the boy is a girl and the girl is me, I'm already in their heart. So if that changes their perspective, they're going to actually have a little bit of self-awareness about their own prejudice. Why did it stop their feeling towards me and the story? Because I'm a girl, because I'm a woman? No. So I was already in their heart by the time I told them I was a female. So that I kind of bypassed a lot of prejudice in that. So there was all these kind of different challenges and things. And the same way as the talk now, I think it's got over 3.2 million views at the time of this recording. Yeah. That's, it blew me away. It's impacted my life, obviously, but also the amount of people that it's impacted. I still get emails like
that's
on a weekly basis, which is really, really cool that
that's
that
amazing.
story, can impact people. It's amazing.
Did you have much anxiety like the night before? Did you sleep okay? What was that like? What were your emotions?
Well, look, this is the thing about when you have your foundations are solid. When I got there, I think about 3 days or 4 days before the event, and every day I got up, I'm doing my yoga. Every day I'm doing my qigong. I'm writing. I'm journaling. I'm drinking water. I am not having more than one coffee a day. I'm not having sodas. I'm not having a crazy like food. I'm sticking to the healthiest food I can have because these things are important. Sleep is important. So I continued to master the basics. I was practicing every day. And even to the point where one day, one day I was called up. I was downstairs. I was just working on my laptop and I had a call from one of the organizers like, Lena, where are you? I'm like, I'm at the hotel. Can you be here? And we need to interview one of the speakers. There's a TV crew here. They need to interview one of the speakers because they're just doing it behind the scenes a couple of days before. I'm like, okay, cool. When do you want it? In 10 minutes, we'll send you a car. Okay, then. So in that interview, if you see me, I have my hair in a plait because that's how I was just gonna stay at the hotel the whole day.
Sure.
But my makeup was done. I'd already had my morning routines. I'd had a good breakfast or lunch or whatever, and I was already, because my foundations every day. I don't I don't sacrifice them for anything or anyone. When they okay, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, I start my day like that so that if anything like this happens, I'm not shaking off. I was actually really calm for that interview. And then for the TED talk, again, that morning I woke up, done my qigong, my yoga, done some journaling, done some like practicing, had my breakfast, everything. So that when I got there, I was supposed to be there was 10 speakers. I was initially meant to be the third speaker. And then that morning they came up to me, said, Lena, you're gonna be the first speaker. Are you okay with that? I said, yeah, that's fine. I'm ready. Just before I'm standing at the stage, just before, okay, so random things happen, right? So like my mom's uncle comes in and tells them, I'm gonna go behind the scenes to see my niece, and they're like, no, you can't because she's about to go on. No, I am her uncle. So they just let him through, and I'm like 10 minutes before I see my hello uncle, lovely to see you, but like I'm in a zone, like I'm trying to keep myself in a bubble, in a zone, right? So that was, random things. And then I'm like right by the curtain, they're about to introduce me, they hand me the clicker, and I look, I'm like, hold on, this is not the clicker from the rehearsals yesterday. Don't worry, it's a new one, but it's going to work. It didn't work. So about 3 or 5, I think, I can't remember how many, but a lot of the speakers had a problem with that clicker. So what happened to me happened to a lot of people. Again, I just stayed calm. Like I was ready. There might have been a little bit of maybe a little bit of butterflies or something, but I was ready. I had practiced it so much. I was ready. Like no matter what happened on that stage, I was ready. And so this is like, again, sometimes things happen, but like in your life, unexpected things. If you're solid, again, it's like the tree, deep roots. A wind is not going to knock it on its side. But if a tree has very short, weak roots, there's no real strong foundations. A storm is going to just uproot it, knock it down. So it's like, you know, even traveling. You know, I was recently in London. One of the first things I do when I get to a destination is I work on my morning routines again, my nighttime routine, my structure. The first thing I done when I come back here is get back to my structure, the gym or a swim, reading in the morning, journaling, food, getting my food right, planning my food for the week. I arrived on Saturday. Sunday, I had a mastermind that I delivered. Yeah. So in the morning, I didn't put too much strain on my body. I'd done some stretching, went for a walk, blah, blah, blah. But after the master, I planned my meals for the week. I went shopping with purpose. I eat with purpose. And from Monday, I've been, you know, back to my structure, back to the gym or a swim. Food is set up because I've set myself up. Yeah, like, so everything is, there's purpose behind it, or I set myself up to win. You know, with structures, because our results of our life is always going to be based on the structures of our life and our character. So it's these things, like everyone can do them, but it depends on if it's important for people. It's important to me because it shapes my character. So it's who I'm building myself, like how I know I perform best as a human, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. You know what? That was very powerful, and I knew it was going to be when I had you on the show. I thought, you know what, there's going to be some learning tonight, and definitely from your story, and you know, for me, what you've been through and kind of what you achieved, and you're right, it's a process still. That's not it. There may be that this next venture, you find out your next thing or what have you, but you're just going to try that because you're confident within yourself that you'll find your way, whatever this next thing is. But I find I like you even more now.
I appreciate you.
It's true though, because when you, as I say, about someone's journey and what they've been through, and you like someone even more, they become even more, appealing, or likable for what they've been through and what they've achieved in their life. And we'd said about success, and for me, that's where you've been successful. Forget about the money and the views or whatever. It's the life you've made for yourself, from where you've come from, the darkness to the light, to finding yourself and finding your purpose, and finding your way. And that, for me, that's the success. And like you said, everyone has their own view of what success is, but for me, that's why that means a lot to me. Your story is because that's what I view as success, is finding your way through, out of the darkness. And we're all human, and we all have ups and downs, and it's how you deal with those down times, is it the adversity, and how you come out of that, and what you learn from these times. So yeah, I definitely respect that.
Yeah, and there's going to continue to be dark times, because it's
Hmm?
like, as there is light, there is dark. And as we always, like, there's like, just as you reach a plateau, just before you get to the next level, you always kind of like face your own dark night of the soul, or whatever they call it. Like, so it's like you always face yourself. There's always going to be things where you end up facing yourself, and you can, you can take that as an opportunity. When things happen, you're in pain, take it as an opportunity to grow from. Or you could take it just as a victim, and you can let it, just dictate your life, rather than using everything that you have, all your pain, all your, everything that should, in theory, bring you down, knock you down, make you feel ashamed. No, no, you use the same things to fuel you to move forward, because, most people, they have more control over their life than they practice. They, if they're actually focused and it was actually important to them what they want, they would match up who they are, their actions, everything with what they want. Like, it's not, it's not rocket science or whatever. Like, it's just, what do you want? Are you doing everything to get there? Are you becoming the person, the thoughts, the behaviors that, like, is, it doesn't matter to you. So for me, it's like, there's nothing else that's more important, because it impacts everything,
Definitely.
absolutely everything.
Definitely, 100%. Lena, I'd like to thank you very much. It's been powerful, informative, insightful, and I've had a lot of learning here, and it's great to have you on my show. Such a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. I've had so much fun. The time's just flown
It
by.
has,
Thank
doesn't
you
it?
for
That's what
having
I was
me.
looking at. I was just like, I hope she's all right for me keeping her this long. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I kept on looking at the top right. I was like, really? Is that much time we've been on it? What platforms can people find you on, Lena?
I'm pretty much on everywhere. If they just search, my handle is at I am Lena Kay. So IamLenaKay. That's my handle on everything, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So yeah, but they can find all that out as well from lenakay.com. They'll see all of my different social media places. They can just connect directly. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, Lena. Thank you for your
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Michael.
pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank